Hello traders, hope you're doing well. Welcome to my video on the moving average and price action EA that I have developed for the MT4 MetaTrader 4 trading platform, which you can see here. Okay, so this is the MT4 strategy tester window, just showing a quick backtest that I've done of this EA. Under here we can see the settings window. Okay, you can get this EA completely free of charge. Just use the link in the description below, where you will also find many other free expert advisors that I've developed, which you can help yourself to and test and use as much as you like. They all come with detailed instructions that explain everything you need to know to get them up and running and customize according to your own trading style. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the moving average and price action EA, just so you can understand how it works and the different ways that you can implement it within your trading strategy. So here's the MT4 strategy tester window. As I said, got the EA selected there. For the symbol, I've chose the euro dollar. You can use any trading instrument that you wish. You can trade Forex, stocks, cryptos, commodities, etc., depending on what your broker provides. For the model, for the testing, I've selected open prices only just because it's a lot faster when doing initial testing. But when you really want to hone in and fine tune your testing, you just want to switch over to every tick because it's more accurate. That'll give you 90% modeling quality, which is the maximum you can achieve in MT4 without using a third-party tick data software. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to use open prices only testing, so it's a lot quicker, and the indicator and price action patterns implemented within the EA do actually work based on open and close prices, so that is absolutely fine. Use date, you can choose the date you want to test here, the start date and the end date. So I'm just going to use the past 4 to 5 months for the purpose of this test. Period, as this is the time frame that we're going to use, so we're going to use the 1 hour charts. You can use any time frame that you wish, whether manually trading or automated trading. I prefer to use higher chart time frames, so the 1 hour and above, simply because there's less noise than there is on the lower chart time frames. I just find the signals tend to be more reliable, but each to their own. For spread, we've just left it at current, which is going to basically use the current market spread. Be careful if you are planning to do some back testing on the weekend. Current market spreads will usually be a lot higher, so you might just want to manually change it to something more reasonable. So if you click expert properties here, this will take us to the settings window of the EA. This is the name. You can change that to anything you like, or you just use the default name there. Pop-up alerts. So basically, when this is set to true, you'll receive a pop-up alert when there's a signal. This is handy if you want to follow multiple trading instruments and chart timeframes at once. For example, you might have 10 or 20 charts running, and you don't want to be sifting through them manually, so you can just get an alert. For example, buy signal on the euro dollar 1 hour chart, sell signal on the pound dollar 4 hour chart, depending on which chart you're watching. Okay, email alerts is basically the same. It will send you the alert, but this time via email, which is handy if you're not at your machine. Perhaps you're sat on the sofa waiting for a particular setup, you can just have an email alert and then act accordingly. Same with the SMS alerts. The instructions do explain how to set these things up, which is relatively straightforward. Use trading. If you have use trading set to true, the EA won't just send you alerts, it will actually place the trades and manage them for you. You can have both set to true, so you can have like use trading set to true and pop-up alerts set to true. Perhaps you're doing something else and you want an alert, but you want the EA to take the trade as well. For example, you could have an email alert and use trading set to true. You could be out and about, you could get an alert there's been a sell signal on the euro dollar. Then you just open up your platform on your phone, you'll see that the trade would have been placed. You can just double check it and amend it if need be. Perhaps you can have the trade initially placed with like a 50 pip stop loss, but you might just quickly check your chart and see if the latest swing high or low is closer, and you might want to amend your stop loss accordingly. Okay. Or you can just have use trading set to true and let the EA do everything. Days filter is self-explanatory. It's basically the days of the week that the EA can trade. Same with the hours filter. You can choose the hours that you would like the EA to send signals or place trades for you. Magic number, this is the order ID. Okay, so this is useful if you're running other EAs on your platform and you don't want the signals to clash with each other. Broker settings. So this is the maximum spread and maximum slippage that your broker can have at the time you place a trade. This can help you avoid unfavorable market conditions when perhaps the spread is too high. These values are in pips. Money management. So open orders limit set to 1 by default. That will allow 1 open buy and or 1 open sell trade at any time. It's just to avoid similar positions being opened if there's multiple consecutive signals. Lots. So this is the lot size, position size that you want to take for each trade. The EA will use this lots value if the use risk is set to false. If you have use risk set to true, okay, then the EA will ignore the lots field here, and instead it will calculate the lot size using the risk percentage that you set in this field here. So 2% risk per trade in this instance. Okay, stop loss and take profit, self-explanatory. These are values in pips as well. I'm not too keen on rigid levels. As I said, with the stop loss I might use, if I'm taking a long trade, I want to look for the recent low. If I'm taking a sell trade, I want to look for a recent high. It's kind of the area where I'd look to place my stop loss. So that could be 20 pips, could be 40 pips, could be more, could be less. But this can just get you a stop loss in place if you're using automated trading with the EA, and then you can amend it accordingly. Take profit, I would usually leave that set to 0, to be honest with you, just because, again, rigid levels, if I'm always using, let's say, 100 pips stop loss, I mean, the market maybe have 300 or more pips available. I don't want to exit too early. Just leave too much on the table. Once we capture a good trade, I want to make the most of it as much as possible, especially when on the 1 hour chart timeframes and above, when you can capture. If we just look here, I mean, this trade here, this is a good example. So this trade exited around 150 pips. It wouldn't have been a bad exit, and it did actually re-enter there. But if we would have stayed in this initial trade, we were good for, almost 400 pips. Anyway, okay, and the more you re-enter, of course, the more you risk getting the entry wrong or late, like this sell trade down here. It's ending up selling around the low. Still a decent trade for over 50 pips, but nonetheless, we just want to take one trade, in my opinion, and just maximize it as much as possible. But perhaps that's where this comes in handy, which is the break-even and trailing stop. Okay. Before that, you've got close on opposite signal. If you set this to true, if there's an opposite signal based on your entry criteria, it will just close the open trade for you before taking the signal in the opposite direction. So break even and trail, this is the break even and trailing stop. If you set break even to true, once this value in pips is reached, so let's just say break even set to 50. If the trade goes 50 pips in profit, stop loss will be moved to break even point. This can be good to help prevent winning trades turn into losing trades, and just lock in a trade at a comfortable level. Trailing stop, when set to true, this will move the trailing stop this distance from the price. So you could break even at 50 and then just trail the price by 50 pips. So as price keeps moving in your favor, you can just lock in more and more of the trade. You can close a percentage of the trade each time as well. For example, you might want to close 20% of the trade every time the break even then trailing gap point is reached, until the minimum lot to close is remaining. So let's just say use risk is set to false and you're trading one standard lot. If you have minimum lot close 0.2, the EA will keep closing 20% of the position until there's only 0.2 lots remaining, and just let that run for you. If you want to just not close any part of the position, you can just set it higher to the lot value that you're using, and the break even and trailing stop will still work. It just wouldn't close any of the position. Okay, but for instance, if we go back to our chart here, you may take the trade there, and as it falls down, you might want to exit half the position there, let the remaining half run, exit quarter, let the remaining part run. It just really depends. But as I said, I think this kind of needs a human touch just to know when to where to place your stop losses and when to perhaps modify trades. You know, when the price is, if you enter here and you see price drop to here, you might want to move your stop loss definitely at least to break even. And as price continues to drop, we would move our stop loss above the high, 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 above the high. And then in theory, we can more or less capture over 300 pips there. And when price turns around and takes us out, we've maximized the move as much as possible. Okay. Where were we? So that's the money management aspect covered. Now we're going to go into the logic behind the EA and why it trades, how it trades. So you've got the moving average. Self-explanatory, really. If you've done a bit of trading, you'll know that the moving average is just to help you filter trend direction, if there is any trend. So if you have the moving average set to true, price would have to be above this SMA, so simple moving average. For a buy trade, buy signal, price would have to be below this SMA. For a sell trade or a sell signal. Okay, so we could say 200, and then we'd only get alerts or trades if price is below the SMA 200 for a sell or above the SMA 200 for a buy. Crossover, if you have that set to true, the fast must be above the slow for a buy, or the fast must be below the slow for a sell. You can use both together, so you can have SMA 200 and a crossover of the fast and slow. So for a sell trade, price would need to be below 200 and the 14 would have to cross below the 35. Vice versa for a buy trade, price above the 200 and a crossover of the 14 and 35. Okay. And then we have these candlestick patterns. So this is the price action aspect of the EA. So we've got an engulfing bar, harami, hanging man or inverted hammer, shooting star hammer, spinning top, 3 inside up and 3 inside down, even star, morning star, falling or rising 3, 3 black crows or 3 white soldiers, and a 3 outside up. So you can set any of these patterns to true or false. Basically what will happen is, if these conditions are met, so say moving average is true, so price has to be above the 200 for a buy or below the 200 for a sell, and let's just say you choose a shooting star or hammer, there would have to be either a shooting star or hammer candlestick pattern for a buy or a sell trade. Okay, and these can work separate of each other. For example, if you have a shooting star and hammer set to true and the spinning top set to true, doesn't mean that both have to happen at the same time, which would be more or less impossible. Well, depending on the combinations you want to do, because they can happen together. But what will happen if you have, let's just say you have them all set to true. Okay, if any of these candlestick patterns are found, okay, if any of those candlestick patterns are found, if they're all set to true and the MA filter works, it will trade in the direction. So the direction being sell below the MA or buy above the MA. And you can have a crossover as well. So the price has to be above or below the MA. There has to be a crossover and there has to be a candlestick pattern as well. Okay, so that's the gist of the settings there. Just reset that. Optimization. So basically, optimization in the MT4 strategy tester is where you combine various settings to find a unique combination. So to do that, what we can do is any setting we want to optimize, we can check this box here and then change the value. So if we check stop loss and we start at 25, step 25 and stop at 100, the EA will optimize the stop loss value from 25, 50, 75, and 100. So I do those different values. That's because we start at 25. Here we step So we go up in 25 increments and we stop at 100. Take profit, start 50, step at 50. Let's go take profit. We'll start at 0, step at 100 and stop at 300. So that'll do 0, 100, 200, 300. Close opposite signal, we'll do true or false. Break even, true or false. Break even point. You can break even at, let's say, 50 pips, maybe 25 pips. 25 up to 100, 25, 50, 75, 100. Trailing stop, true or false. Trailing gap. How far should we go? 25, 25, 100 again. Close percent, you can close 25, 25 up to 75. Minimum lot to close, let's go 0.22 in 0.2 increments up to, no, let's do 0.25, 0.25 up to 1. Moving average, true or false. Moving average crossover, true or false. For the moving average value, let's do 50, 50 steps up to 200. For the SMA fast, we'll do 7, 7, 35. For the slow, we'll do 35, 35, 105. And we'll optimize true or false all of the candlestick patterns as well. Why not? So you're probably thinking, what am I waffling on about? I've chosen all those things we're going to optimize. And optimization is basically the strategy tester will do all the different combinations of everything we've selected there and show you the results based on the symbol you've chosen, the data range, and the time frame. So you just click optimization and you hit start. Okay. And you can see the strategy test is running through combinations here. Your computer power will determine really how fast this goes and how many things you've selected to optimize. Just one thing to show you, if you go to the testing tab here, this genetic algorithm, if you have this checked, the MT4 strategy test will do what it thinks will be the best combinations of all the settings that we've chosen to optimize. If you have it unchecked, it will do every single combination, which can take forever depending on your computer's processing power. But generally, I leave that checked just because you can still find some good results without needing to do every single combination. Okay, so if we click this tab here, optimization results, it will show us the results of the various combinations of settings, every possible combination based on the genetic algorithm. And you can sort by profit, by trades, by profit factor, expected payoff, drawdown in monetary or percentage values. So we just sort by profit. So this is our top performing, high profit factor, good drawdown. Double click it, and that double clicking will load the settings into the EA for you. Okay, and you can then save them if you want to use them later, and then load them there with that button. So we double click, uncheck optimization and hit start, and it will just run a test using those settings, that combination of settings we've done, which looks great, fantastic. We have an amazing EA. No. We've just done there what's known as over optimization or curve fitting. So before we get carried away and package it and try and sell it, have to bear in mind that we've just thrown enough you know what at the wall and hope some stick, and some did. In fact, lots did. There's loads of various set files. You know, double click this one, run that one. That's a good one as well. Okay, but it's only over the last 4 to 5 months of data. Okay. Generally, the further you go back, the more accurate it can be because you've tested over more, longer time period, different market conditions. However, no matter how far you go back, you're still curve fitting. You can go back 20 years, but you're just adapting the settings to the data that you're using. So we can see this was a good combination, right? For the last 4 or 5 months. What happens if we go back 1, 2 years and click? Okay, 2 years. Now we'll run it. That's what happens. And I can tell you probably exactly where the optimization we did started. And I'm going to say here. And to the day. It was October we had selected. Literally to the day. We can see that's where the optimization started. Because everything looks rosy and dandy from there on in. But that's only because we over-optimized or curve fitted to that particular data set. Okay, going back is not terrible. I've seen worse, but it's not great either. Okay, so what some people will do in this instance, they'll go, well, what I'll do is I'll just click optimization and I'll optimize for that time period. But again, we're going to run into the same problem. No matter how far you go back, you're still generating random combinations that you hope will fit. And don't get me wrong, you may accidentally stumble across an amazing strategy. Okay. But in my opinion, nothing beats, I don't know, just having that, you know, you can see here, triple top formation, right? Resistance, here, support. This is logical stuff, right? I've got loads of videos on support, resistance, various formations and trading strategies. So we can see that. And then we can see a breakout. You see this line is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like strong support and strong resistance. Price is coming into this channel and it breaks out. And then this support holds up as resistance. Let me just zoom in there. See? Support, 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 triple top formation, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. This support then comes resistance. And look at that. See that line there? Support, 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 breakout. And there's no coincidence you have this big breakout here. Okay, so a wedge formation in there as well. Big breakout to the downside. I mean, we didn't need any special fancy indicators to do that. Okay, but if you miss the initial entry, don't fret, because you can just wait for another pullback like this one here. Okay, another wedge formation, breakout to the downside. In fact, this level of support here then becomes resistance. See, support becomes resistance, continuation. It happens again here. That's an NFP, non-farms payroll first Friday of the month candle. You could have used that momentum to hop in on this downtrend. Okay, but this EA can come in handy because it can give you signals like, let's just take the 200 moving average. You can get signals when price is below the 200 because you know you're trading with the overall trend. And you might want to get the price action patterns that signal a potential sell trade in this downtrend here. You know, if you want, you can even set the EA to short only, to only give you short signals. If you can see we're clearly in a downwards trend. Step 1, identify trend, is down. Step 2, I want sell signals. Okay. Step 3, time and entry. So it's either going to be a pullback or a breakout. Okay. Some people may trade when price pulls back to this level here. Yeah, you may see an inside bar there. You know, an inverted hammer there. Whatever signal you use for your entry. Okay. Or you just might want to use the moving average crossover. Okay, crossover of moving averages in line with the trend. There's just so many different ways you can trade it, and this EA can send you alerts or place the trades for you. But anyway, going back to optimization, click the results, sort by profit. So we've gone over more data. We went back a few more years, didn't we? Oh, fantastic. Let's double click that, load the settings and run it. There you go. What an amazing EA. You know, what shall I call this one? The Forex Rocket Blaster? What do you think? Anyone want to buy it? No. Why? Because we've over optimized it for a specific data set. It looks fantastic in hindsight, but it's just random data. And I may end up with egg on my face, but let's go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years and run the Rocket Blaster EA, right? Looks great there, doesn't it? Fantastic. Let's just run it a few more years before. It's not terrible, to be fair, not terrible, but we can more or less pinpoint exactly where we started that first optimization. I'm going to say around here. There you go. It was around there, wasn't it? 21, 20. Yeah. There, maybe a little bit further along. But as soon as it starts going up, we know that's where we've done our optimization. Before, not so good. But again, what can we do? We can optimize it and keep going back and back and back. But you're always going to find you're just over optimizing for the data set that you are using. I don't think anything beats what we just looked at on the chart here with a bit of logic, not just sort of random hopeful signals. But there are various ways you can trade the EA, and you can over optimize it if you want. You can do a set file for every symbol, every time frame, and run 20 charts if you like. It's up to you. I just develop the tools and you can do whatever you please with them. To be fair, this is one of my preferred EAs simply because, like, on the surface of it, it has logic. Moving averages, like bog standard basic trend fill. Okay, most people know what moving average is. Okay, for me, your eyeballs are probably the best moving average, but when it comes to coding an EA, you can't code eyeballs into an EA. Okay, so this is the closest we can get for the trend. Okay, and then you've got price action, which tells you what the market's doing at any time. It's not a lagging indicator, you know, it's not going to tell you after the fact. Okay, so this is why you can, you know, get decent settings like this, and there is some logic. So yeah, one of my preferred EAs, and I do have, as I said, the link in the description. You can see there's an EA which combines nearly every MT4 indicator along with price action, money management. You can have signals, automated trading. Just trade it as you want. I'm not gonna run all of this because it's gonna take a while, but if we just go to the results, you can see some decent performance coming in. You know, especially over thousands of trades. Like, generally speaking, the more trades there are, the more reliable the data set is, because you've got you know, a bit just more trades basically. The more trades and the more success, the more reliable it could be in theory. Okay, drawdown's not fantastic. Still relatively low compared to the balance. But yeah, let's see what's. Now we just stop that. We'll just for the fun of it, we'll just run the top one. It's not terrible. I mean, you know, from there to there, it's a good decent return. Yeah. So, but again, we've over optimized for that specific data set, haven't we? Okay, hopefully you found something useful in this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you can like and subscribe, that would be great. Really help my channel so I can keep on developing more tools for you to use. Take care.